In my opinion, sometimes the brain makes such strong accusations and finds things because for something to be unnatural is impossible, right? You're telling me I'm stressed with work and you could hit some points on me and everything is great, right? To me, that's impossible.
Right.
So do you think he was so good in professing what he does that the brain made the correspondence, so he's hitting a few spots in that stat?
I hear what you're saying, and I'm gonna hit this in two ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is he never really told me what he did.
Okay.
So I didn't know.
Okay.
But also to your point, like even if he did, my answer would be yes, the brain is so powerful. So to me, it doesn't matter why.
Right. Yeah,
if
yeah.
it's making the change, I'm happy with it.
Fine,
I was
yeah.
depressed, and now I'm not depressed. I don't give a fuck if it was real or not.
Right.
Hey, it worked. You
It's
know what
like
I'm
the
saying?
placebo effect. I don't really care
That's
if the
what I was looking
placebo
for, yeah.
effect is a placebo effect. If I get the effect I
Well,
want, who cares?
That's like,
Hey guys, welcome back to the Millennial Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Agnelli, here with my co-host, Peter Price.
Yep.
And our two guests on today, Natalie Rosenzweig and Erica Walters. Guys, we are so excited to have you on. I kind of want to give a little, summary of what I believe they do, and then they're going to obviously tell you their stories. But they are Erica, I know definitely, is in the astrology world.
correct. Yep.
And if I don't use any correct terms here, just let me
Cut
know.
them off at
Yeah,
any point
please.
and just
Yeah.
clarify.
And Natalie, what exactly space are you in? Are you in the same space?
I'm a chiropractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And is that a doctor?
Yeah, we're doctors.
Dr. Swag.
Yeah.
Dr. Swag.
She makes me call her Dr. Swag, by the way.
Yeah, you should. I would
That
too.
is a flex.
I would too.
I would have a shirt, honestly, that says
Right.
Dr. Swag. Now, how did you guys get to know each other?
Actually, through another chiropractor. I'm gonna buy this guy's practice, and he was there training Erica in this technique he does, which isn't technically chiropractic. Anybody can do it, but he loved it, and that's what his practice was about. And I was kind of shadowing him, and then became friends, and she was part of that friend group, and then we just became friends.
Awesome.
Yeah, and now we work in the same space, and we share a lot of clients, and I do astrology, but I also,
Clarify for everyone
Yeah.
what exactly you guys do.
So the astrology portion is newer. I
Okay.
just started doing that. So like she was saying, the doctor that I was shadowing under and she was potentially going to buy the business from, he used an energetic method called the emergence process. So the guy who invented it was a chiropractor because you are working on the spine, but you're working just the energetics of it. So a lot of, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but you know those voices in your head that are always like, oh, you're not good enough here, or this or that, and also the voices that are like, you got to get this shit done.
Mm-hmm.
It's working with all of that programming that you received as a kid.
What's energetics mean?
So it's just the energy of everything, because if you boil everything down, everything is goes down on the quantum level to energy, sound,
Okay.
like waves.
Energetics.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
the
I guess I
energetics,
just heard it wrong.
And how that manifests physically.
Mm-hmm.
So through working with a lot of my clients doing these things, I started just because I'm super curious. And so I started asking people their birthdays, and then I started noticing things with the moon, and like when it was a full moon, shit was always going down with my clients and with me. So I'm like, oh, maybe there's something to this, but this doesn't make any sense to me, like, because I'm kind of skeptical as well.
Sure.
But the more I started learning about it, and then learning how, like, well, if everything is energy, obviously, like, the planets have to be an energy, and why, like, I've traveled throughout the world, and there's always huge temples by the palaces because astronomers were always really highly revered, and so I was like, this is, like, maybe there's more to it. I should dig into it. So the astrology portion is newer, but basically it's, I use it as the psychology of how the energies of what's going on are affecting people in their day-to-day lives, and you can really, everything's patterns. You can see the patterns and how they affect people. So that part's a little bit newer, but mostly what I do is working on the body, but clearing the energetics and essentially rewiring people's brains.
And what are like the baby steps, or like the layman's terms of like how do you start approaching that? What does
do you
that mean?
As like a client? Or
Yeah, right. If you're a client, like what kind of person comes to see you?
So at first it's just people who've tried everything and they can't get better. So whether it's like a mental disorder or a physical ailment.
So it could be either or. Like when
Yeah,
I think of
so
a
like
chiropractor, you've got like a back problem or something.
Right. Well, we'll let her get into that, but because she's going to be like, there's a lot more to it.
Right.
Okay, so I'll tell you how I got into this, because I'm very logical, and I grew up like this with blinders on, so it was just, I never even knew what meditation was, yoga was, all kinds of stuff. I was very brainwashed, you could say.
Where'd you grow up?
North Florida, in a Tulite little town.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I came down here for college. I had an athletic scholarship, and then I stayed down here.
And was that like transition the enlightening point, or like where did all of a sudden open up for you?
Later, when I was like 27.
Okay.
So I was still, so I like graduated college, and I became a teacher and a trainer because I just like knew sports, and I always liked helping people and teaching people. That's supernatural to me. But I had no idea that like you could create whatever you wanted. I thought you just like you fall into a job and you go to college and you do this and you do that.
Was that like instilled in you, or you just
100%.
Where you grew up you didn't see anything different?
Well,
or?
so like because I ended up leaving for college and got a scholarship, so something in me always knew I wanted more. But after sports ended, I didn't know what to do, because that was the only thing I set all of my attention and my drive and my focus towards.
Right.
So once that was over, it was like, oh, fuck, I don't know what to do now. So, let me be a teacher, let me work at a gym, let me do the things that I've always loved to do. But there was a lot more for me. So I'm still teaching. I've been teaching for about 7 years at that point, because I got a teaching job right out of college. And I was also a CrossFit trainer in the morning. Like you were saying, you go to 5:30. I coached all the morning classes. So I had this doctor, the doctor that we were speaking of, and he knew, because he came in the morning. I was like, man, I think I'm getting a stomach ulcer. I got one in high school. I always had stomach issues, but like I'm healthy. I ate well. I'm an athlete. Like, why is this happening? And he goes, oh, you should come in. I bet you I can fix it. It's probably from stress. And I was like, okay. And I kind of didn't go in for a while, but he was always around. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go check this guy out one day. So I go into his office, and I'm on a massage table, and he's just at my feet. And he's like, oh, I need you to think about how lonely you were when you were a kid. And I was like, what?
While playing with your feet? I'm out.
I'm
I'm getting the fuck out of there.
I'm like, what is going on here? But then he started saying some things that were like happening now. He's like, I need you to think about, I can't remember what it was at the time, but it was something that I was like, how did he know that? And so the session was over, and I couldn't really tell a big difference. Like you hold different points, and there's usually tension there, like it's tender. And then at the end, when you repress, all the tension's gone, because you're essentially what he's doing. I know now because I do it, but you're switching someone's nervous system from the fight or flight response, which is like the all geared up, to parasympathetic, which is what you go to like at the end of a yoga class or a deep meditation. But it's through this rewiring technique he did. So I felt a little different, and I was like calm and like not thinking all the time. So I was like, that was pretty interesting. I need to go back, because that was too weird. So I kept going back once a week, and I mean, that's where it started. Everything started changing. My physical health got a lot better. I was starting to reflect and see why I was stuck in certain situations in my life based off of things in childhood that I had never connected the dots to. And that's when I quit teaching, and then literally he asked me to start shadowing him, and then everything opened up from there. But literally before that point, I was very much like very closed off in a lot of my thinking.
Wow.
So that was the beginning for me, and it really hits home because it was for my own health, and like I saw what it did for me, and then I saw what it was doing for people that I was really close to who were struggling with depression or PTSD and all kinds of different things, and and then the rest is history, so we'll say.
Now, Erica, again, just to put devil's avocados, do you think maybe the mind is so powerful, right, that you went to this guy and you had a fairly open mind, you weren't closed off to it, but you had this experience where you went and you left, were a little open-minded, and the next experience you were a little bit more open-minded, and the next experience you started really to feel change. And do you think that, let's just say he stayed on the feet and he was just ticking your feet, right, for an hour, and then talking to you, and you left feeling, oh my God, this is it. And he said, well, you feel that way because I was ticking your feet. Do you think that would have the same as kind of the whole emphasis? I guess what I'm saying is, in my opinion, sometimes the brain makes such strong accusations and finds things, because for something to be unnatural is impossible, right? You're telling me
100%.
I'm stressed with work and you could hit some points on me and everything is great, right? To me, that's impossible.
Right.
So do you think he was so good in professing what he does that the brain made the correspondence, so he's hitting a few spots and that's that?
I hear what you're saying, and I'm gonna hit this from two ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is he never really told me what he did.
Okay.
So I didn't know.
Okay.
But also to your point, like even if he did, my answer would be yes. The brain is so powerful. So to me, it doesn't matter why.
Right.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it's making the change, I'm happy with it.
Fuck,
If I was
yeah.
depressed. And now I'm not depressed. I don't give a fuck if it was real or not.
Right.
Hey, it worked. You
It's
know what
like
I'm
the
saying?
placebo effect. I don't really care
That's
if the
what I was looking
placebo
for, yeah.
effect is a placebo effect. If I get the effect I want, who cares?
That's like literally what this work is it's truly showing that the belief, like once you open up the channel of all of that energy and you believe it is the moment that you heal. Because
Yeah.
your brain waves actually change and all of the rewiring that happens. It's the same brainwave state that happens like when you do ayahuasca or you do certain psychedelics, which
I wanna
like
do that.
so much is coming out now about how people are getting cured from all kinds of stuff.
Trauma.
Yeah.
You're doing the same. It's literally the same thing. It's rewiring the nervous system and clearing that stuck energy.
Wow.
So again, like what you're saying, someone might think you just convinced me,
Yeah.
but still, I like if I'm not depressed anymore, I don't really care. Like what the reason.
If the end
was.
result is the same.
Right.
That's a good
But
point.
but yeah, he never. I never knew, and so that's why when I was laying on the table, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What's happening?" But it was, and then I'm like, he just told me exactly what was happening in my life right now. He was like, "Oh, you need to think about." I can't remember what it was at this point, but it was literally something in the exact now that like was just on my mind. It's not like I would have, and so to me that was like, how did he know that? And for the longest time, because I think I went to him for about a year as just a patient before I started working with him or doing anything like that. And each time I was just getting like a little bit more a piece of the puzzle, because the first probably 6 months I had no clue. It's just like in and out. So I started doing my own research and looking up all these neurologists. And I don't know if you guys have heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, but he's healing a lot of people with these brain waves and meditations.
Really?
Like literally just teaching people how to meditate to a certain way to get your brain waves to a certain state so your body does that rewiring and healing. Like he's hosting huge events all over the world. Doctors from huge universities now are coming and studying this. Like this is literally the future of medicine, and like I'll let the doctor tell you about this too more, because she, like for the logical minded people out there, she can, man, she's a wordsmith. Get a swag. Come on now.
Come on, Dr. Swag.
Because she she will tell you the science, and then like it's still a science, like my end of it, but it's more of the quantum science. But when you hear her side of it too, you'll start to see how the two go together. That's why we work in the same office. That's why we share certain clients. That's why, lots of things. But I'll take it away, unless you have any more.
No, I'm gonna get back to you.
That was really well said, first of all.
You're making your points. Erica.
I'm gonna guess your birthday too, baby.
I want to play a game.
I think I
told
guessed
Pete
it.
this. I want to play a game, and I don't know if this is how it works. I'm gonna figure that out too. Guess my birthday right now, and then guess it at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is the thing I'll say about birthdays, okay? We won't get too into it, but when you do, like, someone's astrology, their sun sign is less prevalent, meaning, like if you're a Scorpio or whatever, right? The month. It's your rising sign is your first, like, what you give off. So, like, I might guess your rising sign.
Okay.
I think you're either fire or wind.
What does that mean?
I think you're either a fire sign or a wind sign.
Oh, so those are groupings.
Yeah, there's different modalities. There's earth, wind, fire, and water.
Okay. Because when I tell you I know, like, zero, it's
Yeah. So I feel like maybe he's like an Aries or like a, I don't know.
Tall, dark, and handsome?
Do
What's
you
that
know
mean?
what you are?
What?
Do you know what your sign is?
I know ish, I think.
Ish?
Yeah, I know my birthday. I think I'm on the line of 2. I don't know if that helps
You
either.
actually might be a Scorpio too. You kind
That
of give
sounds
me those
sexy.
vibes.
Scorpios are good at asking questions.
No, I know that's.
Ooh.
I know that's why I said that.
Stop reading my mind.
Great devil's advocate.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They
they're like,
always-
but what about this?
Yeah.
Oh, but
That's
what
Nick
about
right
this?
there.
Yeah.
All right. I can't take this. All right, Erica, like I said, I'm going to go back to kind of your past too and unpack that trauma. But to Natalie, kind of give me your rewind and start at the beginning, you know, how you became a doctor and how you became a chiropractor and how your first experience with this went.
All right. So I feel like I was preparing to be a chiropractor since I was a kid. Looking back, flashing back, I mean, I've always loved to work with my hands. If my mom had a tight neck, I'm like, oh, let me get in there, feeling it, working on it. So I've always loved to work with my hands. When I get to high school, end of high school, I start getting really serious about nutrition and health and wellness and where does this all come from and how do we actually be healthy. Don't know where it came from, but curiosity kind of sparked, and I held onto that through like my undergrad. I had this limiting belief that I wasn't smart enough to go into healthcare because I honestly don't know where that came from, but it was never even a thought of mine that I could pursue being a doctor. It was like, yeah, I'm not smart enough for that, so can't do that, suck at math, so not gonna happen. So I major in all, media communication studies with a minor in environmental studies. I changed my major 12 times. I was going to do nursing. I was going to do business, healthcare administration, just like literally all over the map. And finally, I'm like, what's the quickest way to graduate? Communications? Sounds great. Let's do that. So I go through the whole program, and I'm in my last year of school, and two things happen. One, I get debilitating back pain, and that's like how a lot of stories start for chiropractors. With our own experience. So I get this debilitating back pain. I mean, I'm telling you, I couldn't open my eyes. I'm crying every day. I couldn't stand. I couldn't sit. I couldn't lay. There was nothing that helped me feel better. So I went to a medical doctor, and because I thought I had cancer, right? That's your first thing. It's like, I'm dying. Yeah. I'm clearly dying.
WebMD gets you every time.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm like, there's cancer somewhere in my body. Help me out. So I go to the medical doctor, and it was like here's my body, and here's the medical doctor, and he was just like, let me see, and he like looked at my spine. He's like, yeah, I don't see anything.
You're fucked.
I was like, what?
You're fucked.
What did you even just do? Like, so he's like, well, you need an MRI. I was like, okay, go get an MRI. And he's like, not even him, some assistant called me and was like, you have some bulging discs in your spine, so you need to get surgery. And I was like, surgery? I'm 21. I'm like, I'm not getting surgery.
Yeah.
No. Well, Florida State is where I went to school. They had a chiropractor literally down the hall from that medical doctor. I'm like, no. So I marched myself down there, and I start seeing this guy, and it's so cool. He's like educating me on all this anatomy, and here's this, and here's what's going on with that, and we're going to do this, and we're going to help you feel better, and threw out a bunch of words I had no idea what I was talking about, but I was really impressed. I see him 3 times, completely no pain at all. Like I got my entire life back. And I was like, so how do you be a chiropractor? And that's when I kind of started asking him questions. And I was like, okay, well, I'm about to graduate with a communications degree, so I definitely can't do that.
Nailed it.
So I even had an internship that was going to pay for my law school at the time. Like, I was on a completely different trajectory. Well, this company I'm with, like, merges with this other company that I can't beef. I can't support them. So I'm like, I gotta go. Like, my values are everything to me. My integrity is everything to me. I'm not gonna continue on with this company. And one of my coworkers snuck over, and she's like, hey, Natalie. I was like, what's up? She's like,
You got back pain?
Yeah. She's like, she goes, I think you should go see my chiropractor. I think he's hiring somebody right now for marketing and events, and I just think you'd really like to be a chiropractor. So I think you should go and check this out. And I was like, a chiropractor? You, after all these years I've worked with you, that's what you think? So turns out
she just wanted your position. Let's be honest.
What are you talking about?
Dr. Swag
Maybe she
had to get
did.
into it.
Turns out, so I go see this guy. I'm there 30 seconds. I learn finally for the first time. He gives me a different kind of explanation of chiropractic I hadn't really heard before, which is the holistic aspect of chiropractic. It's not just about back pain. Yes, that is an amazing thing that we help. Thank God we can help that. But he kind of went into how there's 5 different pillars of health. You've got the nutritional side, the spiritual side, the physical side, your activity level, and then of course the health of your spine and nervous system, and then the toxins in your environment, making sure those are in check and you're not exposed to too much in your environment that's toxic. So it kind of made this big picture where I was like, oh my God, I care about all of these things. I already implement all of these things in my life, but the missing link is the nervous system. I'm like, I never knew about the nervous system. Like, this is such an important thing that we all have. And so that was it. I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. So I kind of had to take the long way around. Worked for a couple years in tech and for the Ritz-Carlton, doing different types of positions, all centered around marketing and management. Went through this like huge breakup, and of course most breakups lead to some kind of life transition. That's usually how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, peace out Florida, move into Texas, applied for chiropractic school, got in 2 weeks later. I didn't realize that because I had changed my major 12 times, I had all the prerequisites.
Fire.
I was like, I could have done this from day one.
That is
so
hilarious.
great.
I did not know that.
That's so funny.
They were like, yeah, you
The same chick that told her about that job pops out and she's like, yeah, gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch. Yeah. I was like, man. So that was it. You know, I went into chiropractic school, and it was honestly so much more than I even thought it was. It blows my mind still to this day, the things that I've learned about chiropractic and what it can do for your nervous system, which goes so hand in hand with what Erica's doing. Why I think it's really important. But yeah.
So how long ago was chiropractor school? Like when was, give me the timeline here.
That I went?
Yeah.
I went from 2016 to 2019.
Okay.
So chiropractic school is a little different than medical school in that they condense everything.
Yeah.
So we don't get any breaks.
Yeah.
You get like a couple weeks in between your school sessions, like they're called trimesters, but
Yeah.
it's just rolling. You take 25 to 28 credit hours at a time, and you have to learn everything a medical doctor learns, plus everything that it takes to be a chiropractor. Is almost like going to like a technical school to learn a technical thing. So like you like merge those things, you have a chiropractic program. So it's about almost 4 years after the internships and all the things that you have to do.
No shit.
Yeah.
So you learn everything a doctor learns and then some in a shorter amount of time?
Yes.
Jeez.
But we don't do a residency, and that's what, you know, because they're
okay.
treating disease and pathology of so many different organ systems. Technically, we're just treating one.
Okay.
So that's where it kind of gets a little easier. They have to go and specialize. You know, you have gastroenterologists, you have ear, nose, and throat doctors, and that's where it kind of branches off and gets more complicated. But literally, my friends in medical school would like send me their notes, would be like, hey, I'm not using this anymore. Do you want this book? Like, we learned off the same curriculum for the academic portion. But the hands-on, that's where it's different.
That's very interesting. And I'm glad that you made that point because I don't necessarily think that that's known by like the general public. Like I don't remember if it was like 2.5 Men or something that made the joke that. Did you guys ever watch 2.5 Men back in the day?
Yeah.
One of the guys is a chiropractor, I think, and Charlie Sheen used to always roast him, saying like, "You're not a real doctor, dude. Quit pretending."
Yeah.
And so I feel like that probably, for me at least, my whole life since seeing that, thought like chiropractors aren't real doctors. You know, they're just. But you're saying the exact opposite. You learn everything a doctor learns, and then some more, and even in a faster period of time.
It's pretty crazy.
Well, it's the argument of Eastern versus Western medicine,
Yeah.
and you find that in the United States, Western medicine is taken seriously while Eastern medicine is not, which gets me to my point. Do you
What's
find
that mean, Eastern and Western medicine?
And correct me if I'm wrong, Eastern versus Western medicine is Western is very modernized, like, oh, you have anxiety, here's a pill. Eastern medicine is like, oh, you got anxiety, tell me why, what's your daily routines, let's see if we could figure this out while not throwing drugs down your throat.
And
Eastern medicine goes back
where do they
to
get the East and West from, though?
like China.
So traditionally, Western medicine is a new thing. Let's just it's not the oldest form of healthcare. Eastern medicine is. So for thousands and thousands of years.
Which is astrology.
Yeah, I use a little bit of everything.
She's mind fucking me.
Which, by the way, no, it's So in Asia and Japan, and even India, a lot of the Eastern tradition came from there. A lot of our healing modalities that are adapted here in the United States, like chiropractic, actually has roots back into Eastern medicine. So you're right. So it's the difference of you've got. Eastern medicine is what we call a salutogenic approach to healthcare. It's an entirely different model than the symptom-based healthcare, exactly like you're describing. So in salutogenesis, which encompasses chiropractic and acupuncture and what Erica does, and some other things, it's focusing on what makes a person healthy, not what makes a person sick. That's the difference.
That was deep.
So,
that was good. Nice.
Right? Isn't that nice?
Yeah,
so
that's
like,
a good one.
and also think about how much more empowering that is. So like, what makes a person healthy? Oh, rest, exercise, healthy relationships, a healthy nervous system, H2O. Like, if you're pouring into all those wells and really taking care of yourself, the body really does know how to heal itself. And proof is in the pudding. If it didn't, we wouldn't be here as humans today. So that's that approach. And now even places like chiropractic are kind of like toeing the line. We're like, oh, well, we're focusing more on symptoms now. And really, it was really just, let's focus on what gets you healthy. Let your body start healing itself. Yeah.
You know what the fucking sad thing is that Big Pharma has such a pull in the Western medicine that I guarantee that they know that the Eastern medicine, because the Eastern medicine, in my opinion, fixes the issue while Western medicine puts a Band-Aid on it. And what is that Band-Aid? That's a drug, right?
Something that numbs the
and
problem.
wouldn't you want more drugs sold? So wouldn't you want the population to be more fucked? They know
it's a better business
They
model.
know that we're not educated on health and wellness. They know that the only thing we learned was a food pyramid with bread and like cereal on the bottom and milk. You know, like calcium's good for you kids. And that's all I learned in school. Right? You're not taught in school about your mental health and how to deal with depression and anxiety, and that you're not, not normal for dealing with those things and those demons, right? So it's so upsetting to me that we get pushed this narrative of, Eastern medicine is cliche and putting little needles in your back, isn't going to relieve stress, and that, a little sage and maybe a little meditation can help. When in reality, what you think throwing an Adderall down your throat, if you can't, focus on something because you're miserable at your job that you hate, is going to be the fix.
Solves the problem.
It's probably not going to. It's like putting lipstick on a pig. It just don't work. You
sound like a believer already, dude. Did they convert you in the first 20 minutes?
I'm telling you. Erica almost guessed my
I love it, man.
And that's the thing, too,
that was nice.
with the Eastern model, is like you're looking at the whole person, like the spirit of them, the emotional state, like it's all connected. You cannot be physically healthy and mentally not healthy, because eventually it's gonna show in your physical body, and vice versa. Like, they are connected. It's not just the body.
Correct.
And we've been very programmed to think it's just the body. But how many people do you know who are like me, who are healthy and eat well, but then they get cancer when they're really young, or they have a heart attack, or they're on, depression medication. It's sad, but that's what most people know. That's all they really know. And just like you're saying, like, oh, what's a little needle gonna do? What's this gonna do? What's you telling me about my emotions and tapping my feet gonna do? Yeah. And it's almost like we've been taught to disregard the stuff that actually is going to help heal us.
It's crazy to me.
And I see it in, like, my own family. Like, my whole family still thinks I'm a little bit crazy. I'm like, that's because you're a so-and-so, Mom.
Yeah. I love it.
No, it's funny because they do think I'm crazy, but the more I just keep talking about it, my dad's like, hey, you think you can send me my chart?
Got him.
I'll be like, no, not tonight, Dad. Moon is half full. Fuck off, Dad. All right.
So tell us a little bit about how what you both do plays a role together. So, and like also, do you just work in the same office, or do you like literally work on the same patients?
Both.
And how do the two tie in?
And we got some stuff in the works for the future.
Okay.
I'll let you
elaborate.
Take it. And then
So I've got an office. It's called Above Down Chiropractic.
Very
I
cool.
only work part-time, and I was like, hey, Erica, would you like to come, like, be in my space most of the week I'm not there, and see your people? And when I'm not there, she's there.
Okay.
But we have separate businesses. But because I believe in a holistic model of care, I'm always referring my people to different modalities I think they would benefit from. And so if I have someone come in and they've got, a lot of emotional stress, they're dealing with hard times at work, or I just pick up on something in their exam, I'm like, you need to see Erica.
So you found during your practice there's a lot of overlap, that it may not just be like a physical issue with someone's back or muscles, but there's maybe like a deeper problem going on, and that's where Erica could kind of help?
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty much, unless you have a trauma, like I got in a car accident.
Right.
Most of the time, the reason you're out of alignment is from a mental, emotional, or spiritual malfunction, essentially, or toxins, right? Like toxins or traumas. But a lot of it comes from your thoughts. So, like, how it ties in together is she's manually adjusting the spine, right? And the thing is like, so if we want to talk about the chakra systems, I don't like to say chakra because immediately people are like, oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But they're just like zones of the spine. They're energy zones. And just like she learns in chiropractic, like certain vertebrae this is connected to this organ, it's connected to this organ, and each organ is affected by different emotions. So like people with a lot of anger, that affects their heart. Kind of makes sense. And so that's going to be a certain spot on their spine, and it's also going to affect other chemical things. So it's interesting is like I'll tell her, man, I'm working on a lot of people and it's their solar plexus, or it's like T5. Like I'll tell her the exact vertebrae, and she's like, oh my God, I've been adjusting everyone that's been coming in. It's like that same spot. And that also just kind of goes to show how connected we really all are. Like we're really experiencing the same thing because we're in the same energy. But like, let's say you're experiencing anger right now, and I am too. Maybe you're angry because like your girlfriend broke up with you, and I'm angry because I got fired, right? So like the way it physically manifests in our life may be different, but we're experiencing a lot of the same emotional distress. And so that affects a specific area of the spine or chakra, however you want to call it. So there's a lot of overlap, and we can see it like even with clients. Like it's crazy because a lot of people have the same areas, and you start to see patterns as you work on people. I think that you said you've seen this before. I can't remember, but I know for me, like throughout the day or throughout the week, I'll be like, damn, everybody has been in this area. Wow.
So
and it's crazy. Like it's honestly crazy. At first I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Like why is everybody the same thing? But like it's just we are so connected, and they're complaining about the same things in their life. Like
right, they have a mutual issue going on that
it's just manifesting in a different way. But they're we really are all experiencing the same types of things. We just don't realize because we lack a lot of vulnerability and open conversations about things. And so a lot of people think they're alone, and they live in this like shame isolation bubble. It's crazy.
So for yourself, Natalie, you're doing a lot of hands-on stuff and, touching body parts and adjusting things. And for Erica, is it a lot of the same, or is it more conversational?
So, a little bit of both. So I'm at the feet, and what happens is each person, you have integrity, like you're being, okay, we're going to get spiritual and philosophical right now.
I'm ready.
But stay with me,
I'm
okay?
ready.
I know you can do it. So each person's being, your energetic field, right? It has more integrity to the truth of who you are, like your soul, your higher self, okay? And if you haven't done that examination and you don't believe in that, then you can just not listen to any of this part. That's okay. So you have some integrity to the truth of you. So when I'm at someone's feet, I'm saying, show me what a yes looks like for Pete, and his body will naturally look more in alignment. And then I'll say, show me a no, and one leg goes long. So then from there, I go through like my method and this protocol. Yeah, it's crazy. I go through the protocol, and I'm asking different questions, right? So it can be about self-limiting beliefs you have. So I might say, you don't feel like you're worthy in this area. Think about it. It's very like internal to you. So the person's not talking back to me. And like if I really didn't believe this worked and it was real, I wouldn't be doing it because it's very personal. Like the things that you're saying to the person, it's like you're really going out on a limb saying this because you could really offend them. Like we're talking about trauma throughout people's life. So, and I'm just saying, okay, this came up. I need you to think about it. You can get it down to like the specific day, the age, like whatever it is that comes up, because everything, and she can elaborate on this, everything is stored in the body. Wow. The body keeps the score. It's a book too. So all the trauma, everything, it's stored in your body and that's why like you start to have these wake ups like, oh, I want to quit my job. I'm not happy. I'm this, because your soul is trying to wake you up to the truth of who you are, and it's these patterns and these conditionings that are in the way. So I'm telling you the patterns and the conditionings that are in the way. Like I have no idea what this means to you, but I need you to think about it. Okay, I need you to think about this, and then I might hold like little pulses. Check, is this part tender? Yeah. Okay, this is your gallbladder. I want you to think about what you feel resentment towards. Okay. It's gone. Go to the next thing. Because, like I said, each organ is related to a certain emotion.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, in Nick terms, you are having bodily sign language where you're getting received messages through certain subconscious twitches.
Yep.
I need to learn this for my fiance so I can do a lie detector test whenever I want.
Yes.
You could
Actually,
Did you just have an orgasm? Hold the feet. Right?
no
Liar.
damn it.
Bitch, that right. There that right foot goes again. You're full of shit.
But essentially, you could do that, which is pretty crazy.
Damn it.
All right, after the podcast for 15 minutes. And based off of these responses, you're basically able to say yes or no questions and get to the root of what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
My only initial discrepancy with this, not discrepancy, but I guess comment, would be that all this is emotion driven, right? Now, emotions are great, but also the emotion to the bitch voice in your head is pretty damn strong too. My 5:30 alarm goes off in the morning. My emotion goes, nah, lay in bed, you're tired. Is that my energy field telling me that I'm tired and I should lay in bed? Or did I make a commitment to myself so I don't give a fuck about my emotions, I'm going to get up out of bed and go to the gym?
That's what we call the bitch voice. Like,
Right, so
the mental thoughts that say, like, don't worry about your goals today, you deserve a break.
It's this,
Right.
the bitch voice and the boss voice in your head, I call it, right? So you got two voices. Nick, go to the gym,
I
bro.
got way
You
more
kill
than
it.
two.
Yeah.
You are lucky.
So, and it's typically one's going for more and being my best self, and one is going for comfortability.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's staying in and getting wontons, whether that is,
The
you know,
wonton.
You love the one.
whether that's, you know, whatever it is. But those are the two voices, and they're emotionally driven, right? And what I find is that I saw this this quote one time that professionals make decisions based off of commitments, amateurs make decisions based off of feelings and emotions. So to me, yeah, I want to be in touch with my emotions, and I want to be emotionally intelligent, and I want to be able to have those conversations. But I know that there's an on-off switch, because sometimes you have to shut the emotions off in your head because that wave is so strong, right? So with that being said, how do you feel about what I'm saying, and that sometimes you do have to take the emotion out of it in that field?
100%. So if you're saying something, we'll use the example with exercise and waking up,
Mhm.
right? So when you're making that intention with yourself, what state are you in? What emotional state are you in? Like, I'm really driven to make this commitment. So it's what emotional state were you at when you made the intention? And then when you're sticking it through, it's like, no, I made this from a clear head and from my heart. Like, my heart wants me to do this. So those other voices, I got to turn them off. So that's where I would say it's like, as long as you're following your heart and your intention from that time when you were like really in alignment with yourself, that's the one that you stick with. Because those other voices that come up are your sabotage voices.
They talk a lot of shit.
Stay here. No, you really don't want to do this. Those go off all the time.
And they're so smart, and they're so quick too.
They're so fast.
They can
Good at
find
justifying.
a million ways to find that your partner's cheating on you,
Uh-huh.
the world's ending, you have cancer.
You don't need to do that thing.
You don't need to do that thing, because the body and the humans were designed to find the most comfortable way, right? So if an Indian had a dead deer right there, he ain't going hunting. He's just fucking eating the deer that just died right there, right? Why would you go hunting? Because it's comfortable, right? That's why a lot of us people are just big and overweight, because we got a pantry right there. We don't got to hunt for some fucking cheetah, and you don't eat cheetah.
Eat Cheetos.
Yeah, Cheetos, exactly. Boom, nice. So it's this comfortability factor, and just finding that 99% of the time, in my opinion, that comfortability factor is leading you against your truest self. That sometimes, your inner self might need some rest. You do need a little break, whatever that is, a little mental reset. But it's a lot less of the time than people think.
I like
Right.
Erica's point too, where like usually your gut knows what's right. Like that
1000%.
gut feeling that you have been telling yourself is like typically correct.
Correct,
You know? And you
absolutely.
might find a way to talk yourself out of following that gut feeling, but that's just like the justification, you know. But at the end of the day, like when you had that clear mind and you set that intention, it was in a clear mind state.
Exactly.
And you knew what you wanted to get done.
I think from a neurology standpoint, just to add a little science to all this.
It's a big
Please.
word.
So your brain, your subconscious is actually wired to immediately default to negativity. And so this can be a protection mechanism in so many scenarios, because you're always ready for the threat. You're anticipating the threat. And that's where we need to just be really cognizant of like, oh, am I just letting my emotions default to the negative? Because we're not our emotions. They're just these like picture frames coming through our head. And a lot of it is the way our brain is actually just wired and predisposed to be. And so focusing on, I would say, not just your emotion when you're in the moment, but your physical body will actually give you a better litmus test of where you're at that day. So if you wake up at 5:30 and your brain's like, oh, man, I'm tired, I don't want to go to the gym, but you like go ahead and embody that experience of being at the gym. And then what does that feel like for you? You're like, okay, I'm at the gym, I'm lifting weights, I'm listening to my music, I feel fucking great, I'm on fire, yes, let's do this. It's gonna be easier to get up.
Correct.
But if you picture yourself at the gym and you're picturing yourself getting injured or not moving very quickly, or you're all of a sudden your muscles start cramping up, okay,
How
now,
dreadful it's going to be there.
yeah, now you're having a somatic, a muscular body experience to what that's going to be like for you. To me, that's a better litmus test on what you need for the day, because emotions are always going to go to the negative, and like you said, the easiest default. What's the easiest way from A to B? Not going to B. I just stay right here. This is great.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, maybe what you just said was the exact answer, but is there a way to reprogram your brain so that it doesn't default to the negative and that you can default to...
So that's what I'm doing essentially, and that's really what chiropractic does too. Like anytime you're fixing the nervous system, you're changing the rewiring. So really what I'm doing is rewiring the brain, but it's teaching you not to be those emotions. It's teaching you how to deal with them.
It's getting to the root of it.
And like, why is this? Like, why am I always overeating? Why am I always whatever the addiction is, right? Like we like to think addiction is just drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
But like you can be addicted to work. You can
Hell
be addicted. Like everybody has their addiction, and so it's teaching people really how to like face them first of all, and then find that reflection of like, well, why am I addicted to this? Like, what is really going on? And you find that a lot of people, we self-sabotage ourselves because we don't really know who we are, what we really want. And so it's easier to stay
comfortable
and then
the
try to
situation
figure it out, because it's hard and it's a big responsibility to figure it out.
That's
who
a fact.
you are, what you want to be in this world, what the world is. Like people should be thinking about what they think the world is too. Like we've really lost a lot of touch with philosophy and a lot of things, but like it's our duty to do that. I feel like to be a well-rounded civilian to help the whole.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's really all about.
So if you are a person like that who's in that position where you feel like you don't really know your purpose or like what your future is or what you should be doing or what you're working towards, it just feels like maybe you're going through the motions. Do you have any advice on like how you get out of that position, and how do you find your purpose, or how do you find the motivation to do whatever it is you should be doing?
You go. You're great at this.
Oh my
Coach Erica.
goodness. Oh my goodness. So the first piece of advice I would say is really get to know yourself. So for everybody, this looks a little bit different. Like I usually like to say write, journal, because it's a very intimate way to get your thoughts down on paper, and then you can see it. And usually when you see it, you're like, wow, I'm crazy.
What should you be journaling?
So I like to talk about the journal dump for people who have no journal experience. So it's just like you wake up and you literally write the thoughts as they come. They might be bullet points, they might be full sentences.
They can be
just
positive
whatever.
or negative?
They can be positive or negative, and there doesn't have to be like a rhyme or reason to it. Mine never is. It's like, oh, I feel like this, boom, 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 boom.
Just
I
getting
gotta
it
do
out.
this. I got this to do today, I gotta do that, I don't want to do this, this is how I feel, whatever. And just get it all out. So the old Erica would say journal. Now that I'm doing the astrology, okay, so we'll bring it back.
Yeah.
Little
I
ayahuasca.
love it.
Yeah,
Little ayahuasca.
Well, I was just about to
a
say.
lot of stuff that.
Is that fire? Where can I get it?
We'll talk off camera. We'll talk
I
off
don't even
camera.
know.
We'll talk after the show. Okay?
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, a lot of self-discovery stuff that I went through, and I don't think plant medicine is necessarily for everyone.
His name's Muffins.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out Muffins.
Now I'm hungry. And I forgot where I was going.
Sorry,
with all
my
this.
bad.
I don't even remember the question.
Sorry.
All right, a few
Muffins
things.
got me.
My
A few
bad.
things.
We know a plug named Muffins. That felt like appropriate joke.
And this might be a good little alley-oop, but what Natalie was saying about, like, you go to the gym, right, and you have negative intentions, negative things happen, the body tightens up. What I think people fail to realize is the law of attraction, which I've been dipping my toes in the water lately with journaling every day.
There we go, baby.
It is what people fail to realize is it's truly the belief that the metaphysical could turn into the physical, that thoughts become actions, become reality, right? And I think also the correlation you guys make and the point you make is your thoughts also affect your physical being in real time, right? So if you are scared or nervous, you start shaking. If you're cold, you're shivering. If you get a really wow factor, you get chills. And those are simply thoughts affecting the physical body. So when you view things in a negative sense, the body reacts in a different way. And if you go through things in a fight or flight, and it could be as simple as just changing a few words, like I have to go to the gym, like to I get to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I have to walk, this many steps to get, because there's a far parking spot. Well, I get to walk. I'm not in a wheelchair. I don't have cancer on the right leg. It's just that perspective of and the easy thing for me is like when I'm eating clean like I am now and eating the right things, it's not that, I'm eating broccoli and chicken and I get to eat healthy food so I feel good, Mm-hmm. I get to take this opportunity to really feel good about myself and be proud of myself. And when you start changing those words in real time, the body responds to it in a different way because it gets excited, and then that excitement and that law of attraction comes back to you tenfold.
It kind of goes back to what Erica started with, and that inner dialogue is kind of what it all comes back to.
And again, as I say almost every episode, I am insane. I got something. I don't know what it is, maybe autism, Asperger's, something. But I'm not right up here fully. And I'll say that because I talk to myself a lot out loud. A lot. Probably 2-3 hours a day. In my truck, I'm driving, I'm talking to myself. One reason I love that is because when you write things down or say them out loud, you get to audit them in real time. Mm-hmm. If I tell myself in my head, damn, you look fat today, it's not really that big of a deal. But if I look in the mirror and I say, damn, you look like a fat fuck today, it's so much more intense. It takes you back more. Damn, that's how you talk about yourself, bro. Or if you write something down I want to make $150,000 this year, it's down, you're reading it, you're feeling it. If you think that thought, it's just one of the 78,000 thoughts that go through your head today, and it's just another piece of trash. And when you say it out loud, you feel it. You feel that emotion in real time. So one thing I love about, like you said, with your dump and writing in the morning, is you're just being able to audit your thoughts that come to you the first thing in the morning because you see them there in real time. Why am I thinking this way? Why am I thinking negatively? Why do I hate my life? And then you start writing down the things of why you feel that way. So you'll be able to get to the root in real time. So start and continue to audit yourself every single day. And maybe that will be the reason and the problem is pretty much right there, and it's pretty easy to find when you start putting this out into the world. Why do I feel fat about myself? Why is that happening? Maybe because I'm waking up and after my dump of writing in my journal, I'm eating 6 donuts. I don't know. That's a pretty easy thing to find. So find and try these things because they do work. There's a reason why a lot of successful people meditate and they write. Mm-hmm. It's not by chance. There's no such thing as luck, in my opinion. These things happen for a reason because you got to do the work. So
I like what you just said, and I that takes me to another question I have for Erica, and onto that the diary dump. When you first start, you're just putting out every thought that you have, whether it's positive or negative. But is there a time where you have to transition into because if you're writing down the negative, are you manifesting the negative, and at what point do you change it, or how do you know when you've dumped it all and you can change it?
Right. So it's going to change person to person, and usually what I tell them is just do it until your mind is pretty empty. And that actually happens a lot faster than you would think because it's usually the same shit that you think over and over and over and over. So it might be 5 different things that you just keep going at from all these different angles.
And if you're writing it down every day, it starts to feel repetitive, and you realize, I already wrote this one, it's gone.
Right. So you start writing, okay, I'm writing all the things I need to get out. I can feel that I'm finished right now. Okay. So then I like to usually set an intention for the day. Sometimes I do 3, sometimes I do 1. But my intention, it's not like a to-do list. I'm going to go to the bank today. It's a feeling. So it's okay, today I want to feel courageous. So everything that I'm doing, I'm coming from that energy. So if it's meeting new clients or a tough conversation that I need to have, that I know I need to have that day, whatever it is. So throughout the day, I'm thinking courage, courage, courage. So I'm trying to bring that energy with me out through the day. So I come up with an intention, which is a feeling. And then after that, I usually go into gratitude because gratitude's the best. If you feel gratitude, you cannot feel bad. You just can't. Not at the same time. Or you're not actually feeling gratitude. But this is something I find with a lot of people that I work with. They think they're doing gratitude work, right? So they're journaling gratitude or they're saying gratitude, but they're not feeling it. So I can list a million things that I'm grateful for, I'm grateful I have $1 million. I'm grateful that I have a house. But my energy doesn't match it. The universe, law of attraction, it responds to your emotion. That's your real signal. So I tell people you can name 1,000,000 things that you're grateful for or one thing, but you have to feel it. So like if I'm saying I'm grateful, like a lot of times people list a lot of things because the more you list, you start to get that momentum and you start to feel it. But man, like if you just, like for some people, they can just picture their child. And man, that like, so just think about your child. Then if you have no resistance towards it, think about that, because a lot of the kickback that I get from people who are like, law of attraction's bullshit. You can't just wish for the things that you want. And I'm like, 100% you can. But maybe your theory behind why it doesn't work is a little bit incorrect, right? So everything's about the emotional signal that you're putting out. So if you have resistance towards something, so we'll say losing weight, for instance, instead of journaling like I am fit, I am happy, doing affirmations towards your body that you really don't feel, don't do those. Do something that's neutral and have gratitude. That's something that's neutral, not that a part of me doesn't believe it. So that's a really important thing with gratitude. And then that's like a very basic morning routine. You know, if you want to meditate, meditating is great, but I do find with a lot of people who are newer into this space, they get very discouraged with meditating right away. So that's why I like to start with some journaling and gratitude stuff, so they start to build a little bit of confidence in themselves, because meditating is hard.
Very hard.
It's very, very hard.
I can't slow down my brain.
Yeah, it's very hard.
It goes too
So
fast.
that's of course like a really, really big component. Yeah, so those are some like basic.
So I kind of love what you just said, and Nick, not to like call you out or anything, but I feel like that was perfect for you to hear, because like, so I'm like a big law of attraction guy. You know,
I know what you're gonna say.
Always big on the law of attraction.
you're gonna
Been gratitude listing for a long time. I'm huge on it.
So I'm all happy. I show him my gratitude list after 2 weeks of writing consistently.
And I'm so proud of him for writing
And
a gratitude list
I
for
am
2 weeks.
over the moon. All right?
Yeah, and I'm over the moon that he did a gratitude list for 2 weeks, you know, and he did great.
And then he shuns me.
No, I hope that's not actually how you feel, because it's not what I meant for it to come across.
Well,
But
Nick, this looks good.
It's great what he did. And maybe what you did was more of like a diary dump. Not necessarily, because it wasn't negative.
No, it was wrong, but you
But-
didn't approach it in the right way.
Damn, I'm so. If you actually
No,
feel
no,
that
no,
way,
no,
I'm
no.
so sorry.
No,
I
no,
hope
no,
this
no,
is comedy.
I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
I
Are
hope
you
you're
guys talking
being
about my
funny.
sign right now? Fuck you guys. All right.
Yeah,
What's
see?
his birthday?
Hey, he's totally.
Yeah. Bullshit.
But what I'm getting at is
They're saying I'm
like,
sensitive. Is that what they're saying? I'm not sensitive. I got the point. I changed the way I diary. Okay. Fucking A. What I was doing, I say it. Just say what I was doing.
I don't
what was
remember
you-
what I
what
was
was you
gonna
doing?
say.
I was saying, I was writing in the beginning. Pete, I said, Pete, how do you write? Right? He says, I write.
Okay,
I write a little
let me get back to it. Let me take it over.
Yeah, take it over.
So I'm big on like, and I also think there's two different things. You know, the diary dump, as you described it, is not like the same as like an active manifesting journal, you know, because you're just getting it out at that point. And I think that's true. There is probably like a good phase where you need to like cleanse your thoughts before you can sit down in a journal and write things that you don't have yet as if you have them. You got to get the negative stuff out there. So I think that that's great. I've never really like even done that personally or thought about it, but I do think there's a lot of value in there, because it's hard to sit down and write a big positive journal of things you're grateful for when you've got a mind full of shitty thoughts, you know? So you got to get them out. But I don't think that's the point that you're at. When you start writing your journal, a big thing that I focus on with manifesting is like trying to write it as if I already have it, so I can visualize it as if I already have it, you know? Because if I'm writing it as if it's like future tense, in my mind, it's always going to be future tense, you know?
The universe is like, oh, you don't have it.
You don't have it yet, and
Let's
it'll
keep
always
it
be
over
there.
here.
The universe is very literal in the way that you're trying to manifest, at least in my brain. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but this has like kind of been my understanding of it, is what I write in that journal and what I feel as I'm writing it is literal, you know? And if I'm writing it as if I have it now, I'm manifesting it faster. If I write it in future tense, maybe I'll get it one day, but like the universe is going to keep it in the future tense and it's always going to stay there. And so when I read your journal, it was great. I'm not trying to shoot you down like it was a bad journal, but the whole thing was sort of like literal, you know, or like logical in the fact that he doesn't have any of these things. And you've vocalized this to me since then. It's hard for you to write something that you don't have as if you have it.
I don't know if
because you don't have it and you
Well,
can't feel that.
I don't know if this is a characteristic of a certain
Sign.
Could be.
I'm a realist, bro. So like I got to be
He's
able.
not positive the Earth is round
No,
because
yeah.
he hasn't seen it.
I haven't. Well, I mean that's like one
Hey,
example.
whatever
You know,
about that.
like
Alright.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
and I'm not shooting him down.
No,
It's
no.
just to put things in
Yeah,
perspective
yeah.
of how if he hasn't seen it, he
About
doesn't
his
believe
mind.
it.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like yeah.
So it's hard for him to write
That's more of a
things
joke,
as if
but,
he has it
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
he doesn't.
Like
you
I've never
know?
seen a dinosaur before. Who knows? But what I'm getting at is I'm a realist, right? So I got to be able to. So in my journal every single day, after P gave me his, it was good constructive criticism because I changed my ways.
I hope I wasn't.
Every
mean
day
for
I
that.
write in my book, everything written below I'm extremely grateful for. Through discipline, hard work, and consistency, all these will come to life. It's already done. Time just hasn't caught up yet. I write that every single day. And then under that, I write a list where I'm grateful for X. I'm grateful for X. I'm grateful for X. And at the end, I put, let's get to work. So for me, it's saying, listen, I am grateful for I'm on this path, right? I want to make $200K this year. I'm grateful I get to continue to push my relationship with Paige. I'm grateful for this stuff. But also, none of this comes to life unless I work. None of this comes to life unless I'm disciplined. I have hard work and consistency. Yeah, it's already done. Time just hasn't caught up yet. But in my mind, I have to remind myself that that shit ain't done. You know? Yeah, am I grateful for the opportunity to pursue this? Fuck yeah. Right? That's my why. I'm writing down all my whys. But I also have to get to work, you know? And even though I do feel that gratitude and that energy, like I said, if I ever need a mindset switch, walking to the gym and I feel sorry for myself, I'm like, I'm able to walk, bro. I am okay. So I'm reminding myself that I have that gratitude towards my goals. But I also have to remind myself that it don't come easy. Some days are gonna suck. Some emotions suck, right? And you have to be okay with that. Because when that shitty shit happens to you, and you're like, well, I was grateful for it, why am I pissed at it? That doesn't make any sense to me. But what makes sense to me is I was grateful for it, and I'm on that process for it, but I need hard work, discipline, consistency, and all this shit together to get there. Mm-hmm. So that's how I write my list, right? Because I'm real, and I know that these emotions are going to come, so I think if I prep my mind for them when they hit me, and that bitch voice is very loud, I tell them to shut the fuck up and go back in the closet, right? Because that's what I'm predicting will happen, and it happens every single day. I mean, we're human.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you still currently feel like those bitch voices are loud?
No, so the bitch voice will never go away, right? It's always just creeping in the closet, right? When you're doing, in my opinion, really bad in life and things are really low and you're really shitty, it takes some steroids, it comes out, it's very strong, very loud, very in your face. And the boss voice is like, damn, I thought I put him away. I'm just sitting on the bed for a few hours, right? And those few hours become a few months and you're just in a shitty spot. It's that depression, anxiety. And that voice is so loud every single day. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. No, I'm going to make my bed tomorrow. No, because that bitch voice is just so loud. But when you follow that consistency of the day and day and day grind towards hard work and doing hard things, it's knocking that bitch voice out every single day. And in reality, in my opinion, that bitch voice is what self-insecurities and not having self-worth is, right? And that boss voice is self-respect. To me, being successful is having the utmost self-respect for yourself. Because if you love yourself, you're going to put your best self out into the world, your truest self, your most vulnerable self. I'm able to come on here and talk about my entire life, right? And be vulnerable because I love myself. I have mad respect, but it took a while for me to get here. And what I find is, like I'm doing 75 hard right now and I've lost 30 pounds. I've dealt with weight my entire life. I was the funny fat kid and that was my biggest insecurity. And that's my biggest boss voice. So if you see me, I'm a direct correlation to what you see physically. If you see me out of shape and overweight, I am not okay, right? I could have that face and I'm the robber, that's a bad, I was going to say Robin Williams. I'm not suicidal, right? But I am that guy who brings that front, but behind closed doors, I can't even look at myself in the mirror because I'm so disgusted at what's going to look back at me. So when I work, and I make that analogy of a sled dog, I'm happiest when I'm working, but it just takes that momentum to get there, right? And that momentum is discipline, hard work, and consistency. So that's why I remind myself of that every day. Now, I am fucking concrete in this mindset once I get there. It just takes a while to get there.
Right.
Now, I have to remind myself of that every single day, too, because it comes so hard, but it goes so fast, right? For me, a cheat day could turn into a cheat week, which could turn into a cheat year. Right? I binge things in my life. It's not lightly taken. That could be a great thing. It's a double-edged sword, right?
They know your sign for sure.
Is that look?
I was like, I know
Can't
it
wait
now.
to- yeah.
I completely know it now.
So you're obsessive, say no more.
Yeah. Damn. You're gonna be wrong, all right?
I want to be wrong.
I'm a chameleon. But with that, I have to realize that ultimately my goal in life is some type of balance, right? So it's trying to wean off and let that little bit of that bitch voice come through and say, Nick, bro, you've been grinding 6 days this week. Take some time and enjoy a nice dinner with your fiance, right? It's not go, 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 or you're going to get burnt out, in my opinion. But to that point, my question to both you guys is, and it's not an argument, but a discussion that me and Pete have never agreed on, but we have great discussions about it, is do you believe there's ever such a thing of work-life balance? Do you think it's ever perfectly balanced in life? Or do you think the teeter-totter of that will always be one way or the other?
Well, I think the goal is the balance.
Correct. Do you think it's attainable?
I mean, I think anything's attainable, but I think that that's the journey of life. So maybe you don't figure that out until you're much, much older. I think it's literally it's the dance of trying to find the balance. And not just the balance of work in life, but it's like the balance of your whole being, which work is a part of it, right?
I call it the 5 pillars, like health, wellness, professional, like work, finances, spirituality, God.
Think, I think that's always the goal, and what you and all of us are trying to find that balance. But I do see, like in myself and in others, right? Like let's say, because you only have so much energy. So if career is going really well and I'm pouring a lot of energy into that, you best believe I'm lacking in other areas. Just because I only have so much to give. But we also have different time periods in our life where like the energy is meant to be going towards my career.
Right.
The energy is meant to be going towards my family. The energy is meant to be going towards wherever. And then the whole life is trying to figure out how to balance it. So I do think it's possible. Do I think most people do it? No. Do I do it perfectly? No. I definitely am out of balance, but I'm always striving to stay as close in balance as possible. Because if not, usually for me, if I'm out of balance, I notice that I start to get sick. And not like I'm in the hospital, but like, okay, I'm starting to get a cold or my digestion's messed up, my energy, like something's off. I can always tell in my body, but I pay attention to it more because those are just signs that something's off mentally, emotionally.
I love that answer, and I changed my answer a little bit, or we've talked about this maybe like 5 times on the podcast.
That's funny.
Because
like
he says,
your answer?
it's not that I'm going to change my answer, but let me elaborate again on like what I say, because I think about it after we talk about it every time. I think about it constantly because we never can come to an agreement on it, and not that bothers me as much as it might seem.
I'm not saying I'm winning,
but I sent you a post today, and I was just trying to find it, but now I can't. But it was basically about how like you have financial goals for yourself, and you might sacrifice other things while chasing those financial goals. And I think that for someone like you and I, as young as we are and as ambitious as we are, we're in this mindset right now where we're very ambitious, we're working really hard, and there may seem like there's no balance because we're actively trying to achieve something bigger than what we have.
Correct.
But like Erica said, the goal is the balance. And hoping to like motivate people in what we say, like I would like to think that work-life balance is eventually attainable, because thinking that it's not is like almost depressing to think about. Like it's a never-ending just vicious cycle of grind or imbalance, Obviously balance is the goal. But I don't necessarily think that every year of your life will be balanced to get there. The goal is to eventually achieve that, where you have a work-life balance. But in order to get there, it'll take, years of building a company or working really hard or saving money. Whatever the steps are that achieve that work-life balance for you, I think is different for every person. So the answer is going to be different for every person. But I don't necessarily think it's fair to say it's like unattainable, because you don't even know what that answer is for someone like Natalie. What if work-life balance for her was just like, oh, I make $75K a year even, but I have a family that I love, we can all pay our bills, and we're happy. And if that's work-life balance, and she's attained it, how can you say it doesn't exist? Where your balance might be, I got to make $1 million, and that might be really hard to achieve, and it'll take 10 years, but it doesn't even mean that in 10 years you can't achieve it and then you have work-life balance. I don't think it's realistic to think that you'll have work-life balance for your whole life. Or like there's a switch you can flip to achieve it.
You're saying there's seasons of it.
It's gonna take grind. It's gonna take hard work. It's gonna take failure. It's gonna take no's and ups and downs. But the goal is ultimately to get there.
Yeah.
And I would like to think, there's definitely people out there that have made millions of dollars, or even if it's not millions of dollars, it's just the number that they are content with, where they can live the life that they want to live, they've got the family they want to have, and they're able to spend the time they need to spend with that family to make themselves happy. Well, even if they have no family, whatever the circumstances are, there's someone out there that feels balanced, you know?
I'll give my point. What's your take on it?
I think that I'm going to kind of piggyback off something you said because I really resonated with this. So balance looks different for everybody. I think the core thing that people need to get real about are what are your highest priorities?
Mm-hmm.
Because if your highest priority is money, is career, is some kind of goal in your career, then your balance is not going to look the same as my balance.
Right.
So if that's your goal, then you need to figure out the highest priorities that help you achieve that, if that's your number one thing, and then everything else you might not need to give as much attention to.
Right.
With the caveat of you should always make sure you're maintaining your health because you're not going to achieve any goals without your health.
Mm-hmm.
That's the asterisk there.
Mm-hmm.
But like, for instance, like as someone who might be more career motivated, you just need to get real with yourself. I'm career motivated. This is my highest value. I'm not going to pour as much into family. Okay, that's like hard and weird to say, but like,
Right.
okay, maybe you shouldn't have a kid or 2 kids or like, that's not your highest priority. You're not going to ever be able to achieve that balance if your goal is this.
Yeah.
So not a perfect balance. You'll be able to give some, but it's unrealistic to think that if you're really clear on what you want and you're going after it, you're going to be able to take care of everything else in your life. So getting clear on what that is for you and being happy with what that balance looks like for you is key. And there's another part I have to this that I knew Erica and I were going to get to today. Like this
What's
is
your
the,
birthday?
Yes. Okay.
You a Sagittarius? What's going on?
I love Sages. I'm not a Sagittarius.
Did I say that wrong?
I always date them though. I will
Oh
tell
my
you
God.
that.
Sounds like a
Don't
Pokemon
get me
character.
started.
Sagittarius.
Don't even get me started.
Oh, those Sagittarius.
Oh man.
What was the point you knew you
Okay.
and Erica were going to get to?
Okay, so have you heard of human design?
Oh, baby.
Oh,
yeah.
Can I drop this mic?
Is
So
it
yeah.
conspiracy theory? What is this?
So right. So
Similar
it
to astrology.
reminds me of astrology, but like blended with Eastern medicine, like on steroids version of astrology.
Simulation? What's going on here?
It's crazy. So it's similar in the fact that it takes into consideration like your birth date, but also your birth time, your birth location, things like that, okay? I lived my whole life not knowing my human design until last year.
Okay.
After you learn about your human design, you actually learn there's 5 different genetic energy types. And based on your energy type, you not only will have distinct personality traits, which are weirdly accurate, but you actually have different energy levels. And like once you learn yourself and you learn the correct energy level for you based on your human design, it's actually a lot easier to feel in balance, even though that balance won't look like someone else's. So like for instance, Erica's called a generator. She's got a crap ton of energy. She can, if you want her to get on something and she loves it, she's like, I'm in. I am all in like a pit bull. I'm going after this thing. I'm not going to stop until it happens. Yeah. She doesn't need as much rest. She thinks that she has got a lot of intuitive feeling behind her. I'm a manifester, so we're kind of weird. There's not very many of us. We kind of work in spurts. We're very like leadership focused and very career focused and got to be the best and the top and like money and blah, blah, blah. Like that's really important to us. But like we also need a crap ton of rest that people like Erica don't need. So like my version of balance is I'm working 20 hours a week, half my morning, I'm by the pool, I might read a little book, I'm going to exercise, and then I'll do some work, but I need a lot of time off. Like for me, that's balance. And now that I know that about myself and everything in my life is better because I'm like living according to my human design, that I feel more in balance and my health is better and my career has literally skyrocketed since I stopped thinking I had to be like a generator, like Erica,
teaches you.
work,
It's crazy.
work, on the grind, boss bitch, let's go. When I let go of that, I met like all of my goals in my business, like, literally just exploded in front of my eyes. Happened immediately. I was like, I'm doing less.
So it sounds like it might be.
I feel like Nick is a projector.
Whoa. Is that
I
effective?
feel like maybe he's a projector because he has a very keen eye.
All right.
Like, you're very
They're blue.
observant. He asks really great questions.
Yeah.
And projectors have a very good vision. And they see a bigger world, and they connect all of these dots that most people don't connect, but they need way more rest than everybody else.
I do sleep my 8 to 10.
He goes to bed at 9:30.
Yeah. Like physical
Okay.
rest? You talking about?
Yeah,
They-
physical
and,
rest.
And they need
Yeah.
alone time too, but yes, they need
I do
a lot
need
of-
my alone time.
They need a lot of physical rest because they're energetics just like manifestors. They're not the same. But the thing is they're very conditioned to think that they're supposed to work like that. And it also gets into the inner dialogue too of the type of voices you'll have. It's very, very.
Is this called human design? Is that what you said?
Design.
Human
So
design.
do you think that, like, especially for someone like Nick, who has a hard time even in his mind obtaining what work-life balance would be, knowing his own human design might kind of help him connect those dots of where I need to put my attention and where I can take attention away to find the balance?
Yeah.
Listen,
What's
Yes.
important to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a client. I actually work with his entire family now. You want to talk about top level achiever, reached every sort of pinnacle that modern man would want to reach, right? And so I started working with him, and I was just doing that energetic method with him, emergence, because his health was a little bad. And throughout that year working together, I was telling him about human design and astrology, just like random stuff, because I, of course, asked him his birthday and all this information. And so I would tell him things that were going on. And when our year contract was up, he was like, okay, I want to renew, but I want more of this human design astrology stuff. Like, so I've been connecting a lot of dots. So now, literally, I work with him and his entire family. And I'm teaching them, I'm still doing emergence, but I'm teaching them their human design and their astrology. And he's like using this to implement in his business and all kinds of, I mean, it's literally like when we were talking about a little further ago, what people should do to get to know themselves.
Yeah.
Like learning your human design. Honestly, like now I'd be like, look up what your human design is.
And how do you
Look up
find that? Where do you start to
You can,
figure out
you
your
can
human
just
design?
Google like human design chart, and it'll take you to a free page that'll give you like a free profile of basic information, and then you can take that, like, of course they sell something,
Sure.
but I take that basic information and I take it to the YouTube. 'Cause
Yeah.
You can learn everything on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
And you watch from a lot of different sources, because just like with everything, like even astrology and horoscopes and stuff, like why it has a bad rap is because like there are people who are full of shit and then they claim this science, right? So
Right.
like you have to be discerning in the information and like use that gut intuition. You have that resonance, like when you hear something and that's truth, you feel it and you just kind of know. So that's how I judge it. I watch different videos and learn different things, and some I'm like, that kind of seems like bullshit to me, you know? Like, I need to investigate further. So I don't just, like, blindly believe things, but the more you learn about it, it really helps, and it helps you physically, too, because I've had clients who are projectors who are attorneys, and, like, they're working all the time, and that is against their
Sick.
profile
That'll make
type.
you sick.
Can't lose weight, sick all the time. I mean, no matter what they do, they exercise.
Right.
I mean, CrossFit all the time, have a nutrition coach, doing all these things, gaining weight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's against your actual like energy design.
Yeah.
I hear that you've tried this model, so maybe let's try something a little unorthodox.
And so for someone like that, who's like, say, an attorney who's on this like stage every day doing what they do, and they don't necessarily want to change their career, but clearly like the habits that they have are detrimental to their like well-being. If they don't want to change their career, like how do you start correcting that?
Well, so this is the thing, like, so we'll stay with projectors. So
Yeah.
for projectors in particular, because they need a lot of rest, but the thing is with them, they work in spurts similar to manifestors, but they are so efficient when they work. So they can get things done that maybe a generator, it might take a couple hours. If they're working, they can do it in 2.
Preach.
So they like are very into it, but then they need to pull back. So like, it's not that you need to change careers, but in our world, it's like you're supposed to work these times, whether it's 9 to 5 or an attorney from sun up to sundown, whatever it is. But once you learn what yours is and you realize, wait, I'm not going to get behind.
Yeah.
I can give myself this time, or because she's in a position to where she could give herself time, but we're like hardwired, like, well, if I'm resting and they're working, they're going to be better than me, and yada yada yada.
It might just be a different approach.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We're different. We're not the same. So
Yeah.
to think that we're supposed to work the same and do all these things the same is kind of silly.
Yeah.
All right,
100%.
Erica.
I love it, man.
Well, I might be on that train because listen, a lot of things she was saying, I'm projecting. You saw what I did there? Funny. Boom, another one. Okay. I gotta figure this shit out. I got another question, a little off topic here. You guys go on a first date, right? Are you guys single? In relationships?
I'm in a relationship.
Okay, right.
And our partners have the same birthday. That's what we were
Oh.
saying.
Lord,
Okay.
help us.
Okay.
Love you
The
guys.
same.
But they'll never listen to this because they can't sit still long enough.
Oh.
So sorry.
Not worried.
They
You're
must be
crazy.
projectors too.
That's so
He
funny.
is. She's not.
Okay.
That is so
So,
funny.
even though you're not, say you go on a first date, right? You're really vibing with the person, or like,
Am I gonna ask them? You're damn right. I'm asking.
really?
Oh,
It's a
Yeah,
first
you
date?
gotta know.
I
You
gotta
gotta
Oh
know.
my God.
I had never met
gotta
you
know.
Yeah.
before. Within like 5 minutes, I was like, "Hey, when's your birthday?"
No.
So before
way.
you guys got here, Nick was like, "So I'm gonna come out the gate with like, guess my birthday,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Well, dude, they're not psychics. They're gonna say
Yeah.
when is your birthday, and then they'll tell you like characteristics about yourself, because that's exactly what happened to me, right?"
It's so funny now. Like when I meet anyone,
Mhm.
I always ask them, and they think it's so funny. And a lot of people, they're like, "I don't know anything about it," and I'm
Yeah.
like, and I start telling them, and they're like, "Holy fuck,
That's
like,
on point.
What's going on?"
That was me.
Is she a
If
witch?
you get mine, I will be I will buy the juice, because when I look at mine on like Google, all the bullet points, it is like not me.
Well, so
Oh,
this is the thing,
'cause-
and
Oh.
so there's so much more to it.
Oh.
Everybody knows their sun sign, which is like the
Mhm.
month that you're born in, but really what you need to look at is your birth chart. So that's essentially a snapshot of the sky the moment you're born, because there's more than just the sun. Like we have Mars, we have Venus, we have Jupiter, and all of these planets rule different areas of life.
Mhm.
So depending on where they're at in the sky, it's going to affect your psychology. So astronomy, they started with astronomy, right? And they're watching the sky, and then they're seeing what's happening. That's how we came up with the seasons and how to harvest. And so how they came up with astrology is these astronomers who are scientists, they're studying the stars, and they're doing it for agriculture reasons to start, and for shipping and everything. But then they start to monitor the societies. And then they started noticing, like, oh, when Mars is in a certain area, because Mars is the planet of aggression and war, which it's, like, conflicting right now. That's why we're seeing a lot happen, anyways, but I don't want to get too deep, because I can, like, go so far.
I love it.
Anyway, so you have a lot of other energies. So, like, let's say your sign was something that I don't think it is, a Virgo.
Mhm.
But you don't come off as a Virgo at all, but you have like all of these other planets in the sign of Aries. That's why I'm not picking up the Virgo, because you have a lot of Aries energy, even though your sun is a Virgo. So like guessing someone's sun sign is really kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, if I got it, it's not even that impressive, because there's so much more going on.
There's
Okay.
too many variables.
There's way too many.
Yep.
And they all affect different parts of your psychology. It's very interesting.
So that being said, if we tell you Nick's birthday,
We can look this up.
We
I'll
got
give it a
We're
try.
gonna do this right on the spot right now.
yeah, what kind of game can we play?
A fun one. All right, I'm gonna tell you my birthday right now.
So excited.
August 24th.
Oh, he's a Virgo.
Oh my god.
Second day of it. Listen, when
But
I
on the
said
Leo.
Virgo, I was like,
Is that what
got
you
that
guessed?
feeling
You're
in
like,
my
oh,
body.
shit.
I was like, hey, I bet you this motherfucker's a Virgo.
Now that you said that.
But I bet you have a lot of Leo energy, because you're right on that cusp.
So
and
fiery.
usually you're very fiery. That's why I said I think you're a fire, or maybe a
A
Scorpio.
little spice on that bitch.
But Scorpio is ruled by Mars, which is the aggressive planet.
Whoa, not
So-
aggressive. No, I'm not aggressive. A little bit. I bring a little bit of
On
temp.
camera, a little bit.
Yeah.
But so I'm a Virgo. So,
Okay.
hey.
Virgo sis.
And so does that mean like you guys would get along, or does it mean you butt heads?
No, well, because again, you have a lot of those energies.
Yeah.
Too many
Because
variables.
like your moon sign
Mhm.
is really your psychology.
All
Like
right.
your moon is your emotional sign.
What's the one that everyone goes by? Sun sign?
Sun sign.
Sun sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck the sun. All right. I guess the way that I would really like to wrap this up. Oh, one more.
What?
First off, aliens, they real?
100%.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's
I
not
think
even
so.
a question. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even a question.
I feel like our government like admitted that last year.
Basically.
didn't they?
There's been a lot of shit in the last
Yeah.
year, right?
They're
To
like, by the
support
way,
it.
They're like,
aliens
we're
are
not
here.
going to say this time that it was fake. We're just not going to say it's real. You know, like
You guys interpret it how you want.
yeah. Read between the lines.
There's just too much stuff going on
There's
out there.
no way that we're the
The only ones.
No, it doesn't make
Like,
sense.
That's very egocentric, I think, to think that we're the only ones.
Mm.
And it's something that we construct to control what we think reality is, so we're not afraid of the unknown.
Okay. So I have this theory. It's called the Nick theory. Like, aliens are here already, right? But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what if an alien is like an ant? You know,
Oh.
They're just watching, keeping
like
tabs.
like
Maybe.
Birds.
right? Or they're talking to each other. Like they're chilling.
For sure.
They're doing
Yeah.
their thing. You know. Well, birds aren't real, but
Drones.
yes. But so that's my one theory. Second, I guess a little bit of a deeper question. With what you guys believe about the universe, right, and all this put together, can someone believe with that and parallel that belief with God, or do they kind of contradict against each other?
Depends on your framework of looking at God.
Yep.
Depends on what you think God is.
A
So
traditional Catholic God.
okay, then it's different.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So would you say it's like hard for like a person who's like Christian or Catholic or like heavily religious to, I guess I don't want to say buy in because it's not like you're selling something, but like buy into the
Disbelief.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because so book you guys need to read if you haven't is Biology of Belief.
Okay.
So one of the things that happened when Christianity kind of took over the world was that man separated themselves from nature. So man became the dominators of nature, and religion is what did that. Whereas before, you might find that we actually were very synergistic with everything around us in the universe, our plants, our water, the animals, things like that. So it's this separation, number one, that caused us to think we are separate from all intelligence of the universe, that interconnectedness that has created everything in creation. But that man was the thing that was primarily created for the world and in image of God. So I think where the difference is that in Christianity and most religions, God is actually a reflection of a human. It is a human, which is a lens. And this is my opinion, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
I love religion. I think it's amazing. But it's a lens that we put on something we can't really understand in terms of a physical thing that we do understand, which is normal neurology, right? We want to understand our surroundings. So God must be a man. It's a human up there. But when we think about creation and what's created every living thing in the universe and the intelligence that runs through every living thing in the universe, is that a man? Like, if you take a step back, like, how could that be a man?
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a disconnect, and I think that religion like gives us a good understanding of the world around us and certain values and a
Totally.
good framework to look at things and feel safe and feel love and community and things like that. But
Yeah,
it'd be-
I think the biggest thing or the biggest difference between most traditional religion and then like spirituality is most religion teaches you that God is separate from you
Right.
and you're always trying to earn your way, right? And spirituality very much teaches you that you are that God,
Right.
right?
You're an
It is
expression.
in you. You're an expression of the whole. So that's really the biggest difference. And really, like, yes, if you're doing this work, especially with me, you're going to rub up against that. And I work with a lot of people, even myself included, with a lot of like religious trauma. And think about it, a lot of people have those voices in their head of not being worthy enough and really what's beaten into you in religion a lot.
And like a
if
societal pressure that
mess
you were
up,
born into.
you have to be worthy to get to heaven. You have to, like, all of these things. And I think that a lot of the text and everything that was created, it has been skewed to control people. But the biggest difference is, yes, a lot of people think that God is separate from them, and where I'm coming from is it's very much not. You are a part of it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm right?
Yeah.
Like
No, totally.
That is my belief.
Open-ended
in it.
question,
from,
of course.
From where I'm at in my life, that's how I view things.
I've always liked to kind of, or like I've always appreciated the law of attraction for that reason also, because like I've grown up Catholic and Christian kind of my whole life. My mom is still very religious, but I learned about the law of attraction when I was like sort of young, you know, like in early high school or like late middle school or something. I remember my dad listening to The Secret audiobook like in the car, and I didn't understand what I was listening to at the time, but I remember like hearing the word attraction over and over and almost thinking it was like a dirty word, you know, like talking about like people between people attracted to each other. And maybe for that reason it resonated with me in like middle school. And then in high school when I had a Netflix account, I found The Secret on Netflix, and like I recognized the logo from like the audiobook that he had in the car. So I watched it and I listened to it. And when talking to my mom about it afterwards, because it like really resonated with me when I watched The Secret for the first time. It was like, I don't know, it hit hard for some reason. And I remember talking to my mom about it, and at first her kind of shooting it down because she was super Christian at that time, you know, like just very religious and thinking, you know, I'm talking about this universe thing. And she's like, no, it's not the universe. It's fucking God, you know? And like, you're not writing a gratitude list. You're praying to God and he's answering your prayers. And I obviously can understand how people feel that way. But I also like how it translates to many different religions, and it almost translates the same way where like, if I want to talk to the universe, someone who's Christian can apply the same practices and just instead of calling it the universe, they call it God.
Yeah.
Or maybe you call it Allah, or you call it Buddha, whatever you want to call it. We're all sort of talking about the same thing and practicing the same thing. And if at the end of the day we're talking about having a positive mindset and trying to like look at the positives in things, how can you really shoot that down a whole lot? No matter what you believe in, you know.
100%.
We're just talking about like being a good person. What you put out is what you get back. And if you can't really buy into that theory, you know, like, no matter what you believe in, I appreciate how applicable it is to most religions, even if it doesn't use the religious terms, you know.
And whatever that algorithm is for you, that equation is for you, you know, in the end of the day, just be a good fucking person and be happy, you know.
And back to the point of your gratitude list.
Yeah,
that's another thing that I felt, I didn't want you to think I was criticizing you too much, because at
Pete,
the end of the
joking,
day,
Pete.
if that gratitude list works for you and is benefiting you mentally and is getting the goal that you're looking for, I don't really care how you write it, you know. Like, I know what works for me and like the way I've trained my brain. And also, like, the way that I, like, learned it. So maybe that's why I want to reiterate it that way. But at the end of the day, if something's working for someone, you know, and you're writing it the way you're writing it and it's getting the result that you want, who am I to say that's the wrong way to do it, you know? Because the result is the result. Like we were talking about placebo. Whether you're getting an actual drug in that trial or not, if you're getting the result you want, you got what you came for, you know? Who cares?
And that's why, like, when you gave me that advice, I kind of married my two, because in before I was writing, I want to make $200K a year. I want to be fit. I want, right? And now I say I'm grateful for it, because wanting is a very aggressive term for, like, an egotistical need, right? You want to fill your body with this thing where it's like, I'm grateful to make $200K a year so I can give back to my community, so I can help this local society, so I could do what I want to do, right? I'm grateful for that. And taking the wants of it, and like I said, I need to go to the gym. No, I get to go to the gym, right? So I'm grateful for that. It's just those changing of a few words that you need to start doing in your everyday life, and your perspective can shift pretty fast, you know? So I was joking about that, by the way, but I did change my ways, and I'm grateful for that.
Seems like less of a joke, then.
Yes. I'm writing that in my fucking journal tomorrow. My little brain dump is coming out with "fuck Pete." All right.
Pete's a bully.
Pete's gratitude could eat my ass. What the hell?
That was a great.
When
Where did we just go with that?
You don't know say.
We love each other, I swear.
Okay, we see that now.
We fight like married couples. He's my projector. I'm going to say this term right now. And when I tell you this, when I heard it for the first time, I used it as a wee bit of a joke for the first few days, right? Mercury in retrograde.
Yeah, nice.
And
It's about to happen.
Okay, wait. Before you blow my mind, right? After after I heard it, the next few days, like when I'd have a guy on my job, so I'd be like, "Fuck, I just stubbed my toe." I'd be like, "Mercury's in retrograde, man." You know? You're like, "Fuck, Publix is out of apples. Mercury's in retrograde." And I had people looking at me like, "What the hell did he just say?" And I'm like, "You don't understand, you know?"
Don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's just me. You know, I'm a projector. It's what I do. But what is Mercury in retrograde?
Okay, so remember how I was telling you different planets are different energies and they affect different areas of life. So Mercury is the planet of communication. It rules communication, short distance travel, contracts, things like that. So when Mercury is in retrograde, it appears to us in the sky that it's moving backwards. So anytime a planet moves backwards, it means it's a time to go internal and you're reassessing and reevaluating. So common things that happen during Mercury retrogrades are like a lot of miscommunications. So we're actually about to have one. I think it starts May 10th. So notice if you have a lot of miscommunications, it's not advised to do contracts or start new things, because chances are if you start something during a Mercury retrograde, there's going to be a mess up in the contract that you're going to have to go back and fix later.
Wow.
So it's really a time of like reevaluating, reassessing things. That way when it's over, you put all of those plans into
And how was
motion.
that determined?
Like I was saying, the astronomers, like when they were
Just observing
everything,
patterns over time?
And they see planets moving in different areas, and then they're observing what's happening in the world. So they must have seen when Mercury was doing certain things, a lot of miscommunications in the society, or
Right.
a lot of war, depending on what the planet was.
And so not to Nick, but to anyone out there that like doesn't necessarily believe in astronomy, it's not just like Erica decided something.
That this
Neptune
means
means this.
Yeah.
It's based off
Science
from years of people
Observing.
doing studies and observing, which is like how medical studies are also done.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Pete.
Yeah, it
Listen.
wasn't a personal attack. That's why I directed it to
Don't
everyone
you
else.
dare approach me with a contract next week. All right.
We're gonna reevaluate this podcast equity.
How long are we talking about here? Retrograde. Well, what's the time frame?
It lasts like a month, a little less than a month.
Okay.
So I'm about to go.
And are there other
Actually,
examples like that? We always hear Mercury in
It's like
retrograde.
three
Yeah, there's other
weeks.
ones.
All the planets do it, but Mercury is really close to us, so it goes around us a lot faster.
Oh, okay.
So, like planets that are really far, it takes them years because they're further away, so they travel slower. But Mercury, it happens a couple times a year.
Which gets me to my next point. Was Pluto kicked out when Mercury was in retrograde? Is that a part of your planet system still? Pluto?
Oh, was it kicked
Pluto?
out? No, it's still a part of it. And a matter of fact, America just started its Pluto retrograde.
Oh, shit.
So
fuck.
astrologers have been they predicted COVID. They didn't call it the name COVID, but you can look back in astrology books from like 2005, and it says in 2020 there will be an airborne virus where they can't figure out.
Shut the
All right,
fuck
all
up.
right.
I swear to you, I'll
crazy.
send you the
How
Please.
does it say something though?
Because this is the thing. So I was telling you, I mentioned it very, very briefly that you can tell medical issues based off of astrology as well. So each sign of the zodiac, there are 12, they rule different organs and functions of the body. So depending on where a planet is in a sign, it can tell you what's happening. So because of, I don't know the configuration that was happening, but at that time, something must have been in Gemini, because I know Gemini is what rules the lungs and the upper respiratory. Whatever was there, that like they literally predict there will be an upper respiratory disease that, like, everything
Come
that happened.
So it's basically a cipher that they're trying to figure out, like the astrologer.
Well, astrologers know a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So Pluto just went retrograde literally like 2 days ago for America in our second house of food, finance. So they've been predicting these food shortages, everything with the economy collapsing for years, for years and years and years. And it lasts for about 2 or 3 years. So we're going to be going, but Pluto is the planet of destruction and transformation. So we're going to see a lot of these things breaking down, because ultimately, as a culture, as a consciousness, we want more and we want better. So it's all of our collective thoughts saying, all of this is fucked up, and
We
all
gotta
of that
fix it.
time, it's getting crumbled, and then we rebuild.
Wow.
So it's pretty fascinating.
That's fascinating, man.
Anyhow.
Just
No
a
big deal.
little bit of information there
Just
for
a
you.
little.
I
I'll
like
tell you
it.
what, that fucking Pluto, man. You remember when we were in school and they're like, nope, joking.
Yeah, one
it's
day it was a
actually-
planet, and the next day it like wasn't.
We just decided
Pluto.
yesterday, actually, we're going to 8 planets, you
Yeah.
know, and then fucking Pluto's out. You
Yeah.
know, I don't need, no offense.
So
to
where's it stand right now? It's not a planet, right?
I think we're back in.
Yeah,
we're back
it's a
in.
planet.
No idea.
You
It's
know,
a planet.
It is.
Yeah, it's gotta be. You know, you can't just
Make up your mind.
Yeah, you can't like undo a sibling. You know, it's just like it's done deal.
Depends what family you're in.
I'll say this, and to the viewers at home, I think an uninformed person is a stupid person, and I say that all the time. So get informed about what you want and what your happiness is to you. But if you find that in traditional ways you can't find that, start exploring different ways and see what could happen to you. Because like with Erica, for instance, that's what she did, and it really happened organically to her, and it changed your path in life, you know.
Right. And it's not like you were
forcing or you know,
or even
begging
interested
for it.
at that
That's
time.
it.
Right.
And
You don't have to be an astrology person or even like necessarily a super
Correct.
open-minded person to be able to venture down this path. If you find you're a person struggling with something and you don't necessarily know the answers, which I think happens to a lot of people.
And if you have anxiety, throwing a Xanax down your esophagus isn't really going to fix the issue, right?
It's more of a Band-Aid.
So we're putting Band-Aids on problems and we're not getting to the root of the issues, you know? And it's
too common of an answer.
It's too common of an answer, and it scares me because last question that just blew me mind. Is the world ending in astrology? What's going on with that?
Well, it's not. I mean, I don't know if it's ending, but it's very turbulent. Like everything.
What's the time range on that?
Supposed 2 to 3 years.
Oh, bet.
The next 2 to 3 years, and it's really just starting, to be honest. So it's gonna be very turbulent. We're gonna see some. I mean, we're already seeing war, like with Ukraine and Russia, and that, like if you look at those countries' birth charts, it shows you that they're gonna be in war. It's literally like every time I already believe, but when I see stuff, just like when the work that I do, I'm like, how the fuck? Every time I'm just like, this is really crazy.
Yeah.
Are the Simpsons in astrology? Because they predict everything, bro.
Listen to me. I bet you that they use it. I'm not kidding. Because
Yeah,
they predict a lot of this stuff. This is the thing, though. Like, the elites, like...
They know it.
They know
They know
this
all of
shit.
this,
They
and that's
know
why
the
they're
health.
censoring this, by the way.
That's why...
Yeah, that's what I said. Like Big Pharma, they all know
They
what the fuck is
censor
going
all
on.
of this stuff
They know it.
from YouTube, Instagram, and more in the
They're
last year.
starting to... I got an alert because I post a lot of astrology videos on
Oh, they're
my
onto
social
you?
media. They're going to start... And if you put astrology, like... If you say it, if it's in your hashtags, it hasn't happened yet, but they're going to start taking those videos off. So
All
what
right,
does
so
that tell you?
no astrology hashtags on this episode.
Yeah, be careful.
Heard.
Wow. They're onto us. Between the birds
Right, yeah.
and astrology now.
You guys know about birds aren't real? It's
No.
completely unrelated to what you do.
No, I
Well,
don't. I've never. I heard you mention it.
It's
but
also
I-
fake.
Well,
it's
it's not
almost
fake.
not worth talking
It's
about.
not fake. It's just not fake. Well, you can't say that, Pete. There is this proven theory that birds are actually
You
government.
can't say
animals.
proven theory.
It's a proven theory.
So when you think about it, like when's the last time you saw a baby pigeon? Haven't, right? I've never seen a baby pigeon before.
Infant pigeon.
Like a pigeon nest. You ever seen a pigeon nest? Probably haven't. Right? And the reason why
I like that you're answering for them.
is
Like, well, give me a second to think about it. I mean, 30 years old here, I might have seen one.
You ever seen a baby pigeon? Nope, didn't think so.
No, it's
ipso facto a camera.
Birds aren't real.
So, you know, again, the feds are on to me at this point. I know you guys are. Alexa's listening to me right now.
Oh my god.
Now, when you look at your next 5 years and kind of your mission with this long term, what is that?
I'm here to change the paradigm of health and the way we look at our bodies, the way we treat our bodies. So next 5 years, it's just expanding on that with more collaboration. I don't want to give anything too big away, but let's just say we're disrupting the fucking system.
Hey.
So as far as like chiropractors go, are you like a unicorn for what you do, or is this becoming more normal in the chiropractor world of like not just cracking backs and adjusting spines, but getting a little more holistic with it?
It depends on the region of this country or even the world that you live in. I'll just
Yeah.
say that. I am a very normal chiropractor in a place like Austin or Dallas or Denver. This is normal for people to be like me. Places that are more insurance-based, Medicare-based, like Florida, it's more symptom, oh, your back hurts. Do you feel better now? Great. See you whenever your back hurts again.
Yeah, right.
So I'm a unicorn in Florida, but I'm not a unicorn in so many places. In the industry, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just seems that way here. And I do want to point out something that adjusting the spine, when you're giving specific adjustments of the spine, not just racking them, cracking them, like the YouTube guys trying to get all the noises to happen.
ASMR.
That's not chiropractic. Chiropractic specifically is looking for interference to your nervous system and clearing that out by way of the spine, because the spine protects your nervous system. Your nervous system is you, and clearing that intelligence from the universe through the body.
Yeah.
So that is real chiropractic. That in itself is holistic, and focusing on the other things are important as well. But the nervous system, without that, you're not alive. So any chiropractor that's giving a specific adjustment, even if they don't say it, they're being holistic. So
Preach. Preach, Dr. Swag.
Well, I want to say before we end this that not that like I wasn't sold before you guys got here, because I'm very into everything you guys do, but from a personal perspective, I just went to the ER like a couple days ago because I've been having like these weird like chest pains and like chest things going on that I couldn't really explain. I've never really experienced before. But for like the last few months, I had like this tightness in my chest. And then for like the last week, it was every day I felt like this really weird and scary tightness in my chest. To the point where eventually I drove myself to the ER to get checked out. Turns out absolutely nothing's wrong. They did my blood, they did my EKG, they did a chest x-ray. And they're like, dude, you look fine. I don't really know what to say, but if it gets really bad, come back. And like all my family I talked to, everyone I talked to, was like, anxiety, or like, is there something mentally going on? And personally, I didn't think that was the answer. I'm kind of like, no, not really. Like everything's going good. I'm pretty happy. I don't think it's anything like that. But at the same time, if I really like dive deep into it, maybe, like I sort of believe that. So I'd actually, if it seems like something that is up your alley, I would love to come see you guys and see if maybe the answers that the ER couldn't give me, because apparently medically I'm fine, maybe mentally or physically there is something going on. And I don't know, I'd love to explore that option.
I love that.
I deal with that every single day in my office. So
Does that sound like something that makes sense for you guys to handle?
absolutely, I can already think of quite a few things.
Erica's reading your mind right now.
Yeah, I felt from the very first couple sentences of this episode, I'm like, I'm gonna go to this office.
Yeah. Your subconscious programming is doing something.
I believe it.
I'm a believer at this point. Here's my thing.
Did you say believer?
I did.
I thought so.
Love it. Love Justin.
If it works, it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix
Love
it.
Justin.
And I think I want to come try too. Where are you guys located?
West Palm.
No
Cool.
shit.
Yeah.
And just for my curiosity, does conventional insurance cover this? No. I would bet not. I would bet not.
Sometimes it covers my care.
Well, maybe
Okay.
her, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't bill insurance, but I
yeah.
can give you the receipt for it, and they would reimburse
Yeah,
you.
I would do it regardless. I'm very interested, especially for you too, because I come from a family of heart disease. I don't know what that means, but my great-grandfather had a heart attack. Grandfather had a heart attack. My dad had a heart attack. My uncle had a heart attack. I dealt with weight my whole life. I was probably fighting type 2 diabetes at some point. I'm fairly healthy now, but it's something that is always in the back of my mind because there's obviously a pattern here. And some of them were health-related. Some of them were stress-related heart attacks. But, I want to be here as long as I can. And it's just kind of creeping in the back of my head, like what's happening. Especially with most of my life being obese, I know that probably did a little bit of damage to my heart. And I would love to kind of see if I could find the root of that and how to fix it holistically. Mm-hmm. Because, again, I'm not, in the end of the day, to be healthy, it's pretty simple. Eat right, exercise, treat your body with care. But there's a lot more mental behind it that people discourage and don't put into consideration.
It was even something they said to me at the ER. They were like, "Do you think it could be anxiety?" I was like,
"Well, I don't know if."
I didn't want you to say that here, but yeah, maybe.
And I don't know what demons you fight, Pete, in your head when we don't talk, but you do seem a very matter-of-the-fact person where if you have an issue, you deal with it. If you have a conversation needs to be had, you have it. You do the hard thing. So,
and that's why I felt personally like I didn't have anxiety.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily that I know that answer either.
Yeah. What is the name of your practice?
Above Down Chiropractic.
Above Down Chiropractic. And now, you say you're there 3 days a week. You're there 4 days a week?
I'm there 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
I only work like a few hours at a time.
Okay, perfect. Guys, support local business and go to them and try to find ways, if it hasn't worked conventionally, or like Pete, he's not doing shitty in life, but he finds that he's having these issues that no one can really put their finger on. Sometimes there are unconventional ways and some cultures are conventional that have worked for a while. So look into that, and I strongly encourage to find your own path to that happiness.
It doesn't hurt to be open-minded.
No, and that's what I started this episode off. Like, I'm Forrest Gump, but I am so about taking people's information for point blank and realizing that there's more to life, and people's opinions are ultimately their stories, and hear them out. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Natalie. We got to have you guys on again sometime because there's just too much to unpack.
We got so much we could talk
about.
about.
We didn't even get to Jupiter or Saturn.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, bro. There's got to be a
Saturn.
whole other episode. I know.
And right after this, I'm looking up if I'm a projector, in fact.
Wait, tell us.
Guys, we love you. Thank you for watching, listening, viewing, and subscribing. Continue to tell your friends and family about this. It means the world to us. This is Natalie and Erica. We will see you guys next week. Peace.
Cry with me, yeah. Pour juice inside the soda, turn it over, watch it sing. Yeah, sometimes it might be purple, sometimes it might be that pink. Probably roll that purple diesel, that shit Cuban like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Rather flip a boba, nigga, I still serve a zip. I remember being broken, I was down bad on my dick. And she used to call me ugly, now lil' shawty let me hit. Wait, well maybe it's just bully, got a nigga confident. Remember all them dreams that I had when I was legit. They're like, yeah, I love the streets, but I'm still gon' go legit. Cause you know I need that German with that brand new fucking tip. Fell in love with them foreigns, watching a nigga Euro step. Got me feeling like I'm hardened, cause I'm plugged in with the ref. Like if you touch me wrong, you might get hit with this tech. Let them birds fly like a nigga crossing west. And I swear they broke my heart when I seen them. But that shit, it made me strong, now I'm right back on my best. Like bitches, leave me alone, why I get linked on this tech. Like little bitches, leave me alone, unless you gonna try that neck. Like little bitches, leave me alone, unless you talking about a check. Pour juice inside the soda, turn it over, watch it sing. Yeah, sometimes it might be purple, sometimes it might be that pink. Probably roll that purple diesel, that shit Cuban like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Pour juice inside the soda, turn it over, watch it sing. Yeah, sometimes it might be purple, sometimes it might be that pink. Probably roll that purple diesel, that shit Cuban like my links. But I really like that Cali, cause that shit don't make me trip. Yeah.